What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City transfer news update. We're going to crack on with the ins and outs to talk about with Manchester City. So first up, we're being linked with a new player this time. We're being linked in Portugal with Sporting B, or Sporting Lisbon, Sporting CP, Sporting Club de Portugal, all their names. But a young player, he's called Tiago Djalo, I hope that's how you say his name, but an 18-year-old player. He's been used by their B team as a young player, and that's what B teams are used for over in Portugal. He's under a contract dispute at the moment, so I don't think he's playing any games. Manchester City are thinking of coming in and offering him a 5-year deal with a better wage than what Sporting Club de Portugal are willing to offer him, and so they're looking to try and jump the boat and get in ahead of them. That's according to two sources over in Portugal, not just one, so there might be a little bit of truth, and that's coming from Ojoga and Ebola over in Portugal. So we'll keep an eye on that developing one, see if there's anything that developed. Obviously, we just missed out on Thiago Dantes over in Portugal, so we might be looking at another Thiago instead. Next up, we're being linked with West Ham defensive midfielder Declan Rice, once again, fresh from him scoring his goal against Arsenal to win West Ham the game yesterday. City now being linked with a £50 million move for Declan Rice, according to The Sun, as Manchester City see him as a long-term replacement for Fernandinho, and he can go and learn from Fernandinho, one of the best defensive midfield players in the world right now, and then be able to integrate him into the squad as a long-term replacement. Pep's keeping his eye on him to see how he develops from now until the summer. This will be a summer move if Manchester City decide to go for it. He'll be very impressed with his performance yesterday and grabbing his goal against Arsenal, and I imagine if Declan Rice knows that big clubs are watching him from now until the end of the season, West Ham fans may well be in for a treat. Apparently £50 million will get him, but if he has a good finish to the season over the next 5 months or so, I imagine that £50 million for a young English player might go up in price. I'm not too sure if I see us spending £50 million, but like I said, if Declan Rice has a strong finish to the season, a young and upcoming player that's got the capabilities of getting right to the top, Manchester City will surely be in for them. Now, next up, Manchester City, we've already signed Gavin Bazunu from Ireland. He comes over in the summer. The Irish Independent, quite reliable with football sources, are saying Manchester City actually are now working very hard to try and bring him in now, rather than in the summer. We've got an agreement, I think he comes over July 1st, one of them two. Apparently, Manchester City want to sign him now, and all the deals can be agreed. However, Manchester City need to put him into practice and into place for him to be able to get his leaving certificates in Dublin. He's only a young player, obviously 16 years old. He needs to be able to complete all of his education, get the correct certificates and everything before moving him over to England. And so I'm not too sure. It seems quite complicated to bring him over now. I'm not too sure why we don't just bring him over in the summer, unless we're planning on getting rid of the goalkeeper. I'm not too sure on that, but we'll wait and see. Next up, we've got more news on Paulo Dybala. Now, Paulo Dybala, Juventus, it was around £100 million the last time I reported on this in the last transfer update, if you remember. That's now been up to 130 to 140 million euro, and amid all the interest in him, Juventus, they're going to reject any bid for him in January, as they'll evaluate the situation and head into the summer to see where their transfer strategy lies, and they're going to evaluate to see what they want to do with incomings and outgoings, and whether they need to fund through moves for other players, and in doing that they need to raise some funds, and one of them would be selling Dybala if Dybala wishes to leave. Again, that'll be a summer transfer. I don't see Manchester City spending that type of money on any player whatsoever, so I'd probably put that one to the back burner. I'm not too sure that we're going to be in for Dybala. I feel like maybe our name's just been chucked about, like so many other transfers. It's been chucked about because they want us to use our name to get the transfer fee up for other clubs. So there we go. Goal have been reporting that Manchester City are definitely interested in Ben Chilwell of Leicester, 22-year-old left-back. Pep likes him, and Pep also likes the look, apparently, according to Goal, of Junior Firpo of Real Betis. He's also 22-year-old left-back, and Faouzi Ghoulam of Napoli, 27 years old, left back as well. I'm not too sure Manchester City are going to enter into the negotiations with Napoli anytime soon after the fiasco that was Jorginho. But Firpo and Chilwell, they're at the right age, 22 years old. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go in for a left back again. I think that might be for the summer though. I'm not too sure. We'll keep an eye on it. Things change, injuries change. Pep's already said numerous times we're not signing any players in this window. However, if we get any injuries in the next couple of weeks, things change, we may be able to force it through. We'll have a good idea of who we want to go after in the summer. There'll be a list drawn up already. We'll have a kind of knowledge of who they want to go for, and so they'll be able to put the motions in place to push through. So let's say Fabian Delph picks up an injury and Benjamin Mendy ends up having a setback, then all of a sudden we've only got Zinchenko and Laporte that can go at left back. It leaves us a bit short, and Vincent Kompany's track record, it might leave us a bit short at centre back too. So Manchester City might well dip into the transfer market, injury pending, I would say. Now, Goal are also reporting that Manchester City are interested in Tanguy Ndombele of Lyon, and that he's a viable option to fill in that gap in defensive midfield. Like I said, Declan Rice is one player we're after. Tanguy Ndombele is another player. He's been linked with several clubs in England, Spurs included. There's a lot of interest there. Apparently this is going to be a summer move rather than a winter move. Lyon don't want to sell, so that transfer would be very difficult, and I have seen fees thrown out of 60-70 million pounds even, and so it makes that transfer very difficult, and to be able to negotiate it you're going to need more than a couple of weeks, which is what we've got left into January. But again, we'll wait and see. Next up, we've been linked with Allan of Napoli once again, another defensive midfield option. Sources in Italy, they're saying that €100 million will get you Allan. PSG won't pay it, they were interested. Manchester City also won't pay it, but apparently we're moving in silence for him. We're not going to go into negotiations with Napoli. They drive a hard bargain. They're going to be very difficult to negotiate with. They're very stubborn, just like they were with Jorginho. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to get absolutely nowhere with Jorginho because Man City was stubborn, Napoli was stubborn. We're still stubborn. I imagine Napoli are still stubborn, and so there's going on and on. The article was about Allan and how Manchester City may well move for him, but to me, it just sounds like a load of rubbish. I don't see us any time soon negotiating with Napoli for any player whatsoever. Nothing's changed at Napoli since we dealt with them last time. I don't see us doing it again anytime soon. And last but not least, Ilaix Moriba, I hope that's how I pronounce his name, but apparently he's been linked with Manchester City. He's also been linked with Juventus according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Barcelona prospect, 15 years old, soon to be 16. No new deal on the horizon at Barcelona just yet. I'm just wondering if Manchester City may swoop in and offer him a new deal, just like Juventus will. They'll have to pay compensation, obviously, for him being that age. But I'm just wondering if we're trying to jump the queue here and jump in for another promising prospect from Barcelona, like we did with previous players too, like Eric Garcia. So I'm wondering if we're going to come in, swoop in, and try and cut the tail short there a little bit and jump ahead of the queue. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not too sure if you can sign a professional deal at 16. I'm not too sure if you're on a youth contract and you have to be 17 or not. I'm not too sure. I'm not all clued up on contracts. It's 16 or 17 though. I'm just wondering if he is allowed a professional contract. City might offer him a professional contract to try and have the appeal there. They can offer him a long deal and a professional contract. He'll probably sign. We'll keep an eye out for that one, just like the other youngsters too. City definitely after some youngsters though, from all academies across the world. We'll move on to the outs. We'll move on to Marlos Moreno. He's an interesting player, isn't he? We're never going to see him in a Manchester City shirt, but the way he's been just sprung about here, there and everywhere, it's incredible. Now, Marlos Moreno, he's been linked with a move to Turkey, this time to Turkish side Sivasspor. Now, apparently, they've made an offer to bring him in. He's 22 years old, by the way, from Colombia, and he's interested in a move to Turkey, and apparently they're wanting him to replace Robinho, who's just left. But, yeah, that's according to some source in Turkey that I've never heard of. Now, I'm all for it if it is a permanent move. However, according to sources in Italy, they're saying that Bologna and SPAL want Marlos Moreno, but they want him on loan, and so if he's being heavily linked with loan moves, I presume that the move to Turkey is also a loan move, so there seems to be a three-way fight for Marlos Moreno's signature, and I do know from Manchester City's point of view, they want him to go out on loan and have a successful loan somewhere. He's flopped at a couple of clubs now. They want him to go out on loan, show what he can do, have a couple of good loan spells, increase his market value, and then sell him. Otherwise, Man City have wasted a fair few million on him. I think he cost between 5 and 7 million when we signed him. Might even be more, I can't really remember, but yeah. The less said about Marlos Moreno, the better, really, in terms of incoming to Manchester City. Now, last up, Mangala. He's been linked with everyone near enough this window. He's getting linked this time with FC Porto, his former club, but apparently they won't be signing him until the summer. They're waiting for him to become a free agent. Manchester City, I think, are trying to loan him out and try and get his wage paid for, so they don't have to pay his wage from now until the summer, and then he'll be released on a free contract. I feel dead sorry for Mangala. He's a player that needs to be utilised properly. He isn't a bad defender, despite what everyone says. He has had some good games. He does have it in him to be a strong, good defender. You just need to know how to utilise Mangala, and you need to have a good squad there that when you want him to play defensive football, Mangala doesn't play. If you want him Mangala ability to man-mark a player out of a game, particularly a tall, powerful striker that hasn't got a lot of pace, and you ask him just to man-mark him out of the game. He did it so well against Ibrahimovic with PSG in that quarter-final of the Champions League a couple of years ago. He was absolutely perfect at it, and so we saw the best of Mangala then, and so you need to know how to utilise him, and I'm fairly sure that if you could find ways to utilise him, that you'd be able to get a good solid player out of him. But there we go. So that's been the video. We'll go have another transfer update up, because we've got so much news coming in thick and fast that I feel like we should be doing them more regularly. So we're going to be having another one up tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, press the red button, and make sure you put your push notifications on by pressing the bell. Don't forget, leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts of these transfers in the comments below, and don't forget you can also check out my social media links in the description below, and I'll see you all again for the next Manchester City transfer video up tomorrow. Along with that Wolves game, we'll have the analysis up on Tuesday. So I'll see you then. So it's been JSGC. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. Ciao for now.